Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sam. I'm a professional hairdresser, and today's video, as you can tell from the title, is going to be a client's horror story. I'm a little bit hesitant to do this video because I know that some people think that talking about clients is unprofessional. And while I can agree with that sometimes, I think depending on the approach, these kinds of videos can actually be really helpful. I mean, yes, they're entertaining, but they're also helpful. We can learn from each other's experiences and each other's mistakes. And this particular situation that I'm going to be talking about taught me a lesson that is something that I've been wanting to talk about on my channel anyway. So when this all went down, I was like, okay, I definitely need to talk about this because I know I learned a lot from it. And I think that this can be relatable and hopefully helpful to some of you guys as well. Even if you're not a hairstylist, I think that the lesson that this taught me can be applied even just in your own personal life. So let's just get into it. So for the sake of the story, let's call this client Susan. So at the salon where I work, I do hair and I also do eyelash extensions. So Susan had heard about me from somebody, heard that I do lashes, and the area that I live in, there's like a handful of people who do eyelashes, but it's not as saturated here as it is in some other areas. So she was looking for somebody who was close by, and she found out about me and called the salon to book an appointment. Now this is a little small detail, but I'm gonna mention it anyway because I feel like all of the little things that I kind of overlooked during my interactions with her, I feel like now looking back, they kind of were all little red flags in a way. So we don't have a receptionist where I work. There's only 3 stylists that work there. And for the most part, we handle all of our appointments and all of our interactions online and through social media. We have like an online booking system. So it's not very often that people will actually call the salon anymore. So we don't have a front desk person. And every day that the salon is open, we're always checking the answering machine for messages. So anyway, Susan called the salon one night, my boss answered, and she wanted to book an appointment, and she was making a big fuss because she said that she had called multiple times and she left a message and no one's gotten back to her. There was no message from her on their answering machine. My other coworker doesn't recall ever hearing a message from her. My boss hasn't heard a message from her. I didn't. So it was a little like, was she mistaken? Was she lying about it? I don't know. But anyway, so she books an appointment with me. So she comes in on a weeknight for her first appointment. And just to give you guys an idea of what my appointments are typically like for my eyelash extension clients, if it's their first time, they'll come in, I will have them sign a consent form, and then my lash room is actually on the 2nd floor of the salon. So before we go up the stairs, I ask if they need to use the restroom because they're gonna be laying down for a couple of hours, especially for the first appointment. And then we'll go upstairs, I have them sit down on the lash bed and we do our consultation. I ask them if they've ever had lashes before, what's their experience. I explain what the process is like, what exactly I'm gonna be doing. And then we go over what kind of set I'm gonna do on them. I talk about their eye shape, what shape I think is going to be most flattering, how full, how long do they want them, and I try to be as thorough as possible because my biggest thing is I like to connect with my clients and I like to educate them as much as possible. I don't like just having people come in, I do the service, and then they leave. I want them to have an understanding of what we're doing, and I want them to be comfortable. Then from there, I have them lay back in the bed and I start working, and each step as I'm going along, I'm, talking them through, letting them know what I'm doing. They have the option then to talk to me if they want or just go to sleep, relax, do whatever they want. And then at the end, I go over aftercare instructions and I give them a free little take-home goodie bag that has everything they need in there to take care of their lashes and to clean them. And there's also a little instruction card in there that just basically repeats all of the instructions that I already tell them. So I try to make the experience as high quality as possible. And again, I try to be very thorough. So when Susan came in for her appointment, it was no different. I, did the same thing that I always do. When she comes through the door, she is just very high energy. Like you could tell like she's just very talkative, she's very loud, she's very like dramatic. Especially for me, I'm shy, I'm more quiet, I'm more of an introvert. So people that are like very animated, it takes a lot out of me. So I have her sign the consent form, ask if she needs to use the restroom, she does. Then after that we go upstairs and immediately she is just talking a mile a minute. She's telling me that she is disabled and she has a lot of pain and all these different like health issues, and she doesn't have a driver's license. She can't drive. And so she relies on her husband to drive her everywhere. And her husband works in the city over an hour away, and he works overtime pretty often. So she really is just completely reliant on him, and her schedule has to kind of revolve around his schedule. And okay, if any of you guys are hairstylists or nail techs or anything like that, you deal with clients on a regular basis, you probably understand what I'm about to say. There's a difference. Like, obviously, when people come in, they like to talk to their hairstylist, they vent to us. We end up learning a lot about our clients. But there's a difference between somebody coming in and you get to know them over time. They mention things to you that kind of just naturally come up in conversation, as opposed to the first time you're meeting someone, they just immediately, like right after they introduce themselves, basically, they just start telling you all of these things, all of these issues or problems they have going on. It's like that is part of their identity. And I'm not trying to be insensitive or by any means say that I think that she's like exaggerating or lying about the issues that she has, but it's just interesting. And especially now looking back, it's almost as if that's how she introduces herself to everybody, because she wants everybody to know, because that's her thing and that is her excuse for things. And it's almost like, I feel like she was using that as ammunition later on to guilt trip me. Cause like I have health things going on too, you know, but unless it comes up in conversation, like that's not the first thing that I'm gonna tell somebody when I meet them. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm telling her if at any point you need to take a little break, if you're in any pain, if you're feeling uncomfortable, you need to move around, or if you need to go use the restroom, just let me know, no problem. So an initial full set of lash extensions usually takes me anywhere from like an hour and a half to 2 hours at this point, depending obviously on what kind of set I'm doing, how many lashes the person has, etc. This appointment took me well over 2.5 hours to do. We had to stop multiple times throughout the appointment, 2 times for her to go use the restroom, which each time I would have to stop what I'm doing, dry her lashes so that she's able to open her eyes, go downstairs, wait for her to come back, start up again. She had to stop to kind of move around. Her eyes were watering, so I'd have to like dab them with the tissue multiple times. And I'm not saying this to complain by any means at all, because obviously these aren't things that she can control, and I just always want my clients to be comfortable. I'm just mentioning it for context, okay? So the appointment took longer than usual. Luckily, she was my last client of the day, but I was being very accommodating. It was no problem. Sure, you need a break, you need to stop, no problem. So once I'm done with everything, I hand her the mirror, I let her see her lashes. She was really happy, she really loved them, and she was telling me how she's had her lashes done a bunch of times in the past. I don't think she's ever kept up with them and gone for fills to maintain them. Because like I said, there aren't really very many lash techs in our area, so she would travel kind of far, and she wasn't able to drive far every few weeks to maintain them. So she would just get a full set, let them all fall out, and then just, you know, redo them a couple times a year. But she was telling me that she's never had anybody be so thorough before, and no one's ever talked to her about her eye shape, and it was just such a great experience, and she's so happy she found me, etc. She also was telling me that the last person that she went to stabbed her in her eye, and there's still a scar on her eye, and she thinks that they did permanent damage or something. I didn't see anything, so I'm not sure what she was talking about. Plus, when you're doing eyelash extensions, the person's eyes are closed the whole time, so I don't know how that even would have happened. I don't know, but again, looking back, it's another little bit of like a red flag. So anyway, I go over the aftercare stuff, I give her her little goodie bag, and then we talk about pre-booking her next appointment. Now, just to give you guys a little bit of background information about eyelash extensions and how they work. So I go through and I isolate every single individual natural eyelash and I put an extension on them. So our eyelashes shed every day, just like the hair on our head, the hair on our body, our skin, like everything, it grows and it sheds. And if you don't have extensions, you might not notice your lashes shedding because they're so fine and so little, you don't really see them. But once there's an extension glued onto it, it's much more visible, it's more noticeable, so you'll see them coming out. So on average, every person loses 2 to 3 lashes per eye every day. So because your lashes shed, and once one lash falls out, a new one's already growing in its place, every few weeks you want to come in. If you want to maintain your eyelash extensions, you have to come in to get new extensions placed on your new eyelashes. So typically every 2 to 3 weeks is the average that people will come in for fills. So in the spring and fall, which right now it's October, it's right in the middle of fall, those transitional seasons, our bodies shed hair more quickly than normal. Just the way that animals do. It's like we're shedding our summer coats to grow in our winter coats and vice versa. Also, around this time of year, people's allergies act up a little bit more, so your eyes might be watering, which can make your lashes shed quicker. So during this time of year, it's usually recommended to come in a little bit sooner than when you normally would. So anyway, I explained to her that for my new clients, I always recommend coming in at 2 weeks because it's just better to come in a little bit sooner. Everyone's body sheds differently, so some people need to come in a little bit sooner than others. So I always recommend come in sooner the first time around. That way we can see if, okay, yeah, 2 weeks is good for you, or all right, next time let's do 3 weeks. It's better to come in sooner than to wait too long and then have a whole bunch of your lashes fall out, because then at that point, I might have to charge you for a full set if you barely have any extensions left. So yeah, because she's a new client and I don't know what her shedding cycle is like, and because it's a transitional season, I recommended that she book her next appointment at 2 weeks. She was insisting, no, let's go longer than that. Let's do 2.5, which, okay, that's only a few days of a difference, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it can be. But that's what she was insisting. That's what she wanted to do. So, okay, fine. Everything was fine. I didn't hear anything from her. And then 2.5 weeks, when it was the day of her appointment, she called maybe 15, 20 minutes before her appointment to say that she was running late, she's having pain, she's not feeling well, so she's kind of running a little slow this morning. I think her appointment was supposed to be for 11 o'clock. She wanted to know she could come at 11:30 instead. Now, normally, if it's a day where I'm fully booked back to back with clients, I can't do that. Like I physically can't, because fills, I usually book out an hour. So I'm either not gonna have enough time for your appointment, or I'm gonna have to push back everybody else that I have the whole rest of the day, and that's not fair to them. It's not fair to me. It's too hectic. So sometimes that's just not an option at all, but on that particular day, I did have some extra time. So I was like, yeah, I totally understand. That's no problem. I'll see you at 11:30. I should have mentioned to her that we do have a cancellation policy and we have a late fee. And so, you know, I would have let it slide that first time anyway, but I should have at least mentioned it to her for future reference, just so she knows that, like, that's not something that you can just do all the time. Like, if you're gonna book an appointment, I do need you to stick to that time. But whatever, I didn't. I was just like, yeah, no problem, sure, I'll see you at 11:30. So I think she ended up showing up a little bit after 11:30, and I think my next client was supposed to come at 12:30. So I finished her lashes right before 12:30. It was perfect timing. My next client was already there in the waiting room, ready for me. So right as I'm finished, she's like, oh, I have to use the restroom. And I'm like, oh, I'll grab your jacket and your purse for you and I'll meet you downstairs. And she's like, oh no, it's okay, leave it. I need to come back up anyway so you can take a look at my lashes. I was doing your lashes the whole time. I looked at them. We don't need to come back upstairs. My next client is here. Your appointment is over. Can we just wrap it up? But no, again, she insisted. So I wait for her to come out of the bathroom. She comes back upstairs. I look at her lashes. They're good, they're great. So I'm like making my way towards the door and I'm like, okay, well, my next client's here, so. And she just starts talking to me. I don't even remember about what, but she's talking and starts fixing up her makeup, like reapplying her lipstick and like her blush or whatever. And the thing is, I'm so shy and I hate confrontation. And if I tell you something once and then you just completely ignore me, I just get really awkward and I'm like, okay, well then So, you know, I'm trying to make my way out of the room, and I'm like, okay, and I'm trying to tell her like, all right, I'll meet you downstairs, but she's not even giving me a chance to like get a word in. And thank God my next client was my last one of the day, and she also is someone that I went to high school with. I mean, it still isn't fair to her because she's still a paying client, but she's not someone that's like gonna get mad or really upset about it. So thank God for that at least. So my next client was supposed to be at 12:30. I didn't get to start her until 12:50. Because she just kept lingering and talking and wouldn't leave. And the thing is, like I said, we don't have a receptionist, so I had to wait till she would come downstairs so that I could check her out and, you know, have her pay. So anyway, she books her next fill and she wants to do 3 weeks this time. We had did 2.5 this time, and they looked pretty good. So I thought, okay, 3 weeks should be okay. But I always tell everyone, if you have any issues, if you see that a lot are falling out and you don't think you're gonna make it for your next fill, you need to come in sooner than that, give me a call and let me know, because I'd rather try to squeeze you in and have you come sooner than make you end up having to pay for a full set. About a week and a half later, she calls the salon, and this ended up turning into like a game of phone tag basically, because she would call the salon, I'd be busy with clients. I'm not just sitting around waiting to answer the phone. So I wouldn't be able to talk to her. She'd leave a message, would never say what it is that she needed or what the issue is. She would just say that she needed to talk to me and that she needed me to call her back. Meanwhile, it's like, if you have an issue and you need a sooner appointment, whoever answers the phone, let them know that. They will put the appointment in for you, rather than wasting time waiting for me to give you a call back. And you know what I mean? That was very irritating. It was just, it's a waste of time. She'd call the salon, I'd call her, she wouldn't answer, I'd leave her a message, she'd call back, blah, 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 whatever. So eventually, I'm finally able to get a hold of her, and she tells me that there's a little gap just on one eye where some of the lashes fell out, and so it just looks a little wonky, and she wants to know if she can come in so I can take a look at it and just fix that little gap for her. So sure, of course, no problem. That's my policy. If it's been like a week or less and you're noticing that something looks a little funny, or if, say, the extensions are falling out and they're not attached to any of your natural lashes, like it looks like there was maybe just a retention issue with the glue and they're falling out quicker than what they should, I have them come in, I take a look, especially if they're a new client, because sometimes there's like some troubleshooting you have to do, you know what I mean? So I'm like, sure, of course, when can you come in? And now remember, she has to wait for her husband to be able to drive her. So the time that she can come in is limited. She can only come in the evenings and on Saturdays. So I block out a little bit of time, just like, 15 minutes for her to come in so I can just do a little quick touch up. And I can't remember if it was later that same night or maybe the next day. Either way, that time comes that she's supposed to come in for her touch up, and she calls to say that she can't make it. We find another time that works. Now at this point, we're like getting right to 2 weeks, which normally is a time that people need to come in for a fill anyway. You need a little bit more than just a quick 15-minute touch up. And so I should have told her that, and I should have just booked it at that point as like a regular 2-week fill, but whatever. I was like, yeah, okay, come in at that time. Again, it's the time she's supposed to come in for her touch up. She calls and says that she can't make it. So I'm looking at my schedule and I'm trying to find a time that I have available that will work for her. And I give her the option of coming in during the week after my last client, which was around like 8 o'clock. And she's like, oh no, so late? Oh, that's too late. You don't have anything else? You don't have anything like around 5:30? I'm like, no, I'm sorry. I am completely booked back to back with clients. If I'm doing hair and there's like time while they're sitting and processing or whatever, I can kind of squeeze people in a little here and there. But with eyelash extensions, I'm working the whole entire time. So there's no way that I can double book myself. So I'm like, no, I'm sorry. Like, that's the only option. You either come at 8 o'clock or just wait, because her next fill appointment that she had previously booked was coming the next week. So now let's keep track, okay? There were 2 opportunities that I gave her to come in sooner to touch up her lashes. So she comes in the day of her 3-week fill appointment. She has no extensions left at all. Not a single one. So we go upstairs, she sits down on the bed, I'm getting my tools ready, and her phone starts ringing. She misses the call. So then she goes to call that person back. They don't answer. She calls somebody else. They don't answer. Luckily, she was my last client of the day, but you came in, this is supposed to be just a regular fill appointment, and you have no extensions left. So now, not only is this appointment going to take longer than what was blocked out for you, and now I have to stay late, but you're wasting even more time by doing whatever on your phone. And again, I'm not trying to complain, but it's just, it's a little frustrating. It's like, okay, why does this have to be so difficult? Like, there has not been a single appointment yet with this person that has just gone smoothly, that's been on time. So finally, she's done on the phone, and I'm talking to her and I'm like, listen, you don't have any extensions left. I'm sure you can see that. So I'm gonna give you 2 options. And this is not my policy. Normally the policy is if you have less than like 40% of your extensions left, it's a full set, period. But because she's new and this is the first time that this has happened, I give her 2 options. I'm like, I can charge you for a 3-week fill, and I will spend the same amount of time, same amount of product as I normally would for a 3-week fill appointment. But obviously, because you don't have any extensions, doing that, they're not gonna be 100% full. Or I can do a full set and they will be completely full and freshly done. So she's like, oh no, if we just do the 3-week fill, then there's nothing to fill. So they're not gonna be as full. I want them to be full. And the other thing too is she was going away on vacation in a couple of days for like a week or so. So she was gonna be out of town, and you know, of course she wanted her lashes to be like super full and perfect, which is understandable. So she was like, let's just do a full set. I do a full set on her, and then after we're done, we go downstairs for her to pay. And I charged her for a full set of lashes because, again, I gave her the options. That's what she chose. That's what I did on her. And also, mind you, it's now at this point an hour and a half past the time that I normally would be done on this particular day. It was on a Saturday too. If I really wanted to be super strict, I could have just said to her, listen, you only booked out the amount of time for a 3-week fill. You have no lashes left. You need a full set. So you're gonna have to reschedule, and you're gonna have to come in on a different day and do a full set. And I'm gonna have to charge you a cancellation fee because now I'm missing out on this appointment time. Technically, if I was following our policy, that's what I would have done. So the fact that I stayed late anyway, and I tried to accommodate her and tried to be understanding of the fact that she's going away on vacation, I think that that was nice of me. So when I tell her the price, she's so disappointed, and she's like, oh, I can't get a discount. I was having problems with them. They were just falling out way too fast. Now, 3 weeks for some people is totally fine. I have eyelash extensions myself, and normally I go every 3 weeks for a fill, but once in a while, my lashes will just be shedding more than usual, and I'll have to go in sooner, and I'll have to do a 2-week appointment. Like, sometimes that's just what happens. And again, like I said, because it's this time of year, that's more common. So then she's showing me pictures on her phone. The first photo is from about a week and a half after her last fill. And she's like, look, they already were falling out. A week and a half later, almost 2 weeks after her last appointment. Yeah, that's normal. Like I said, you lose 2 to 3 lashes per eye every day. And I'm telling her all of this. That's what happens. Every day you're losing lashes. So the way they looked in that photo was good. That was exactly what I would expect in that amount of time. Then she shows me a photo from just a few days ago, and she has just a few extensions left, like barely any. The other thing too is, as a lash tech, like I'm looking at people's lashes all the time. Like at this point, I'm pretty experienced with them. And when I'm looking at somebody's eyelashes, I normally can tell if there was some type of retention issue and the extensions themselves just fell off because either the glue that I used wasn't good, or maybe they got oil near their eye area and it made the extensions fall off, because the lashes will be full-grown lashes, their longest length. Sometimes there'll be a little bit of like glue residue on some of them, but if it was that the lashes just all shed naturally, like the natural lashes just fell off with the extensions glued onto them still, your lashes would all be like new lashes. They'd be in the early stages of the growth cycle. There wouldn't be any residue on them. Her lashes were all new eyelashes, which means that they shed naturally. Also, the glue that I used on her is the same glue that I used the first time around. It's the same glue I've been using on all of my clients, and I haven't had an issue with anybody else. If there was a problem with the glue or something that I did wrong, I'd at least have one other person that was having a problem as well. And I try to always give everybody the benefit of the doubt, but with all of the evidence that I had, there was just no way that there was something wrong that was my fault. Not her fault either. They were just shedding naturally, like they do. The first time around, which was like almost a month ago, she didn't shed as much, but this time she just went through an extreme shedding cycle. Like I said, this time of year, that's normal, that's what happens. And I've explained all of this to her multiple times. So she's showing me these photos and I'm like, I'm sorry, but you know, explaining what I just said. So these photos don't really prove anything to me. Again, I gave you 2 opportunities to come in sooner so that I could fill them before they all fell out, and you canceled last minute for both of those appointments. So I think that I've done everything that I can to try to accommodate you, and I gave you options. You said you wanted a full set, and so that's what I did, and so this is what a full set costs. While I'm explaining all of this to her, you know, the shedding cycle and seasons and how, you know, whatever, she just starts laughing and shaking her head and she's like, not me. No, mine don't fall out. I don't shed. Okay, sure. Do you know what kind of people don't shed any hair? Dead people. That's it, okay? We are all human beings. We all shed. And I literally, looking at your lashes, can tell that that's what happened here. And the fact that like you are not going to respect me, it's not like what I'm telling you is just some kind of myth or I'm just trying to make up excuses for myself. Like this is science. That's just how the body works. So then she starts trying to kind of guilt trip me and she's like, oh, okay, well, I don't know if I have enough money. Oh, I'm gonna have to ask my husband to use his credit card. Oh, he's gonna be so mad and so upset. Oh, what am I supposed to say to that? Like, oh, okay, never mind then. How much money do you have? Oh, yeah, like this isn't a flea market. Like you can't try to bargain with me on prices. So she paid the full price for the extensions. She booked her next appointment and she left. And honestly, in the moment, it was so hard for me to stand my ground. First of all, everybody else had left for the day, so I was the only person left in the salon. So I didn't even have anybody there to like back me up or anything. Like it was literally just me and her. It was so awkward and so uncomfortable. Like I said, I'm quiet, I'm shy, I'm awkward, I hate confrontation. So if somebody is trying to get a discount from me or they're not happy about something, I am usually so quick to just kind of like give in. But I've just realized lately that every time I do that, I end up just getting so mad at myself and then I end up having a lot of resentment. And the more I keep doing that, I'm just gonna get to a point where I hate my job and hate my clients. And that's not what I want. I love what I do. And I love the clients I have that respect me and respect my time. I don't know. I felt like I had already given her so many chances and let her get away with things. And I just felt like logically charging her full price was the right thing to do. And I think, I don't know, I just felt like if I gave her a discount, I would have been letting her take advantage of me. And I knew that this cycle would never stop. She would constantly be calling me and running late and wasting my time and canceling last minute and guilt tripping me and trying to get things for free and get discounts. And that's not the kind of client that I want. But still, like I just felt a little uneasy about it. And I was like, I hope that she doesn't have any hard feelings or didn't take it personally or like is gonna hate me now or it's gonna be awkward next time she comes in. Like, and I shouldn't feel that way. That's just what the policy is. Like you come in for a service, you have to pay for that service. Why should I be feeling weird or guilty about it, you know? Ugh. Anyway, a few days later, because this happened on a Saturday, on Wednesday, she calls the salon and I'm with my last client of the day. She calls 2 times in a row, doesn't leave a message. So I come downstairs, My last client leaves and my boss is like, oh, Susan called 2 times back to back and didn't leave a message. I don't know what she wants. And my boss at this point, she knew, like I had told her everything that happened on Saturday. She knew, you know, everything, the whole entire history of Susan. So she was like, look, if she's calling to complain again, let's just offer her a full refund. I don't want her coming back here anymore. She's gonna just keep causing problems. Like, she's just such a hassle and it's just not worth it. It's just stress that you shouldn't have to be dealing with. So as we're talking about this, the phone rings. It's Susan. So my boss answered, thank God, because I was just like, oh my God, I was shaking at this point. I was like, I don't know what to say to her. And at this point too, like I was also over it. Like I didn't want to deal with her anymore. So my boss answers the phone and she's like, oh, I need to talk to Sam. My boss is like, she's with a client right now. Can I take a message? She wouldn't tell her what she wanted. She said, oh, just have her call me back. So my boss is like, well, can I ask what exactly you're calling about so that I can at least let her know? Oh, her lashes are falling out and she needs to come in. She wants to know what time I work till today. And on Wednesdays, I only work till 3 o'clock. It was literally 2:50 when she called. And my boss was like, she's done at 3 o'clock today. So she's leaving in a few minutes. Susan demanded that I stay late to fix her lashes for her because the next day she was leaving for vacation. She was just being rude. And after everything, I've tried so hard to be as nice to you as possible and to go above and beyond, and to just let things slide again and again and again. And that's how you're going to act after everything. You're gonna have the nerve to be rude and to get an attitude and to demand that I do something for you? And it's not just like, oh, I just need to stay like an extra 15, 20 minutes or something like that for her. Remember, she has to wait for her husband to get home from work so he can drive her to the salon. By the time she would get there, it probably wouldn't be till like 5:30. I don't know how much time I actually need to spend on her. So she's demanding, I was gonna say requesting, no, she's demanding that I stay 3 hours late for her for free. And at first, she starts by saying that some of her lashes are falling out already, which again, 2 to 3 per eye, per day. That's going to happen every day. Some of them are gonna fall out. That's how it works. And then like as the conversation goes on, then all of a sudden it turns to she has none left. They're all falling out. Like, which one is it, Susan? There's just no way, there's no way that that is true. Also, why would you wait till the day before you're leaving for vacation to call if you had an issue? And it's not like she called in the morning. She waited till like close to 3 o'clock to call. Like if you were having an issue and there was some type of emergency and you were really concerned, wouldn't you call sooner? So my boss got very irritated by that. She was like, I'm sorry, but no, she has a set schedule. These are her hours. I'm not gonna ask her to stay late or to work outside of her scheduled hours. And I'm sorry, but the only person that's gonna be demanding anything of my employees is me, their boss. So my boss was like, listen, if you're unhappy with your service, I am more than happy to give you a full refund, but that is all that I can offer you. And then she told my boss that she felt as though she was taken advantage of, which is so interesting because if anyone's been taken advantage of this whole time, it's been me. And my boss was like, well, from my understanding, she gave you multiple opportunities to come in sooner and you canceled last minute. And then that's when she started guilt tripping her like, oh, but I don't have a license and a taxi's so expensive. So my boss was like, I'm sorry, but it's not my fault that you don't have a license. There's nothing that I can do about that. And honestly, nobody's forcing you to get your lashes done. You don't have to get them done. It's something that you are choosing to do. It's a luxury service. If it's too difficult for you to make it in for your appointments on time, then don't make the appointments. Don't get your lashes done. And that's why I said earlier, like her immediately mentioning that, oh, I'm disabled. Oh, I don't drive. It's like she needed me to know that so that she could then use it later on as an excuse for canceling, being late, etc. Anyway, she ended up coming in later that night after I left and got her money back, and my boss canceled her future appointment. And by the way, when she came in to get her refund, my boss said that her lashes were perfect. And even though my boss doesn't do eyelashes, she obviously sees like all of my clients coming and going. She knows what a fresh full set of lashes looks like. That night, I felt so conflicted because it's not a good feeling to lose a client and to have someone be disappointed. And the thought of now she's walking around with this bad impression of me, she thinks poorly of me, she thinks poorly of the salon, who knows, maybe she's gonna go leave me a negative review somewhere. That sucks. It's not a good feeling. Like, I'm such a people pleaser and I just want everyone to like me and everyone to be happy, and I want to do anything I can to please people. But what I'm realizing the more I think about it is there's nothing I could have done to please her. The only way that she would have been satisfied is if I just had my entire life revolve around her schedule. If I came in on my days off, came in early, stayed late, did whatever I needed to do to appease her, allow her to be late, allow her to cancel last minute, allow her to waste my time and make me run late with my other clients, allow her to get discounts and allow her to come in and get free fills. What would be the benefit of that? So if you have a client like Susan, don't be afraid to stand up to them. There's a fine line between being accommodating and going above and beyond to be like an amazing stylist, and then just letting people completely take advantage of you and becoming a doormat and just letting everyone roll right over you. So know the differences and don't allow yourself to be a doormat. Stand up for yourself. I saw a post on Instagram that said confidence is like a muscle. You have to constantly work at it every day to build it up. And it's so true. And that's something that I'm working on now. And it's hard. It's so hard. And it's just so awkward at times. But I know that the more I do it and force myself to do it, as shaky and uncomfortable as I may be, I have to force myself because eventually it'll get easier. So anyway, that is gonna be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like these storytime videos, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Also, if you wanna go follow me on Instagram, I have my hair page as well as my personal page. So feel free to go follow me on both of those, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.